Hey, welcome back to Five Lakes Garage, and today we're actually going to fix a small little comfort problem that we have up in the office inside the house. So basically everybody by now should realize that yes, we went through a pandemic. And when I say we went through, I really mean we're still going through it. Our office kind of said, hey, we're going to be extending our stay at home until 2022. So I'm going to be home for a while, which is great because hopefully I can make some videos for all of you about some of the stuff that we're actually doing around the house. Now, what we did in the office, which I say office, which used to be a bedroom and now it's our office. We tried to roll our chairs around on the carpet. We tried the little mat things. Didn't like it very much. Well, I ripped it out and we put hardwood floors in. Now, with the hardwood floor, we almost finished it with the exact amount of boxes. Couldn't quite finish it, so we had to grab one more, which meant we have a lot of stuff left over. So what we want to do is actually make our day-to-day life a little bit more comfortable. So basically we have our chair, we're sitting in it for a long period of time, and so is my wife next to me. So what we want to do is actually make a footstool. Now you would think a footstool, just throw a box under there, it looks great. Well, if you follow some of the other stuff, I kind of go for the rustic look. When I say rustic look, which means, hey, I'm just going to slap it together and I don't give a damn what the hell it looks like. Well, this is going to be a little bit different. I'm trying to make it at least a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is actually use all of the leftover hardwood floor that we had that we put in there to build our footstool. Now this is the stuff we're going to use. Not this one. This was my scrap piece that I kept beating on with the hammer. That's why it's all buggered up on the end. But anyway, it is a pre-finished hardwood floor. It is oak. It's about a 3/4 of an inch. So what are some of the tools that we're going to need to actually build this gigantic footstool, which actually putting it out on actual material is going to be a big freaking footstool, but that's okay because I got some big feet. So what we're going to need? Well, we're going to need hardwood floor. I have that here. I'll show you that here in a second. We're going to need some rulers and quick squares, tape measures. Also going to need a nailer. Now this nailer here, I'll borrow this from my buddy. He's a good guy. The only thing about using these type of nailers, always pre-oil it before you use it. We do not want those. We don't want those to actually die prematurely. Basically, they sit on a shelf for a long period of time and the oil could drip out. It could get dirt in there. It can get whatever. But so make sure you oil it and preserve it, especially when it's not yours. Always try to preserve it. Also, you gotta need rounds for that, guy. So we have some flooring nails. Now these are a little bit different than regular nails, so make sure you get the right stuff. Now for this particular one, these are way too long, to be honest with you. I had some shorter ones. I don't have those anymore, so I'm going to use the long ones. But for this right here, and I'll explain that here in a minute, we're going to have to cut off every single one of those. So I went downstairs to my automotive shop and grabbed my cutoff wheel. And these should take really quick work on just knocking all those down. I'll get a flap disc to put on there just to make sure I do not put a nail through my toe, because I do not want to do that. So last but not least, what the main thing you're going to need is safety goggles. Protect your eyeballs, especially these. These things cost about $4,500. Got a little laser thing. No more contacts. Awesome. You should try it. Anyway, so this is what we have. All right, so here's my plan. This one right here is going to be for me, and this one right here is actually going to be for Steph, my wife. And so what we're going to do here is try to figure out some angles and also figure out some sides. How big is this thing going to be? Now, I know that this section right here is actually going to be the center post of my desk. It actually comes in as a diamond. And I do know that I wanted 12 inches out from the edge of that post. Now, with that one number, I was able to get everything else through simple geometry. Now, my wife, Steph, really does not like math, and it was good to actually, I guess, be one up on her on something, because she is one smart cookie. Anyway, so I knew this was going to be 12 inches. This line here, I got this from measuring off of my post. That's 11 inches. that's 11 and that's 11. So if I know that that's 11 and that's 11, that's a 90-degree angle, I can figure out what it is all the way across through the simple formula of a square plus b square equals c square. Okay, so you take 11 square plus 11 square equals 15.5. So that's 11, so that'd be 122 plus 122 equals the square root of 244, which is 15.5. So if that line right there is 15.5, I know that since this is a diamond, that line is 15.5. So 15.5 plus 12 equals 27.5 inches, roughly. So if this line right here, and I know this is a 90-degree angle, and I want 45s on each side, that makes this line all the way up to the top, and this line being the same. So again, use the same formula. A square plus b square equals c square. This come out to be 38.8 inches. Now, if I subtract 11 from that, I get 27.8. And now that is going to be from this line to here. All right. So then I know just out of that number 12 inches there, I can get that line, that line, that line. These angles, when you're working with 90s and 45s, is very easy to be able to figure a lot of that out. So what are we going to do with this information? Well, we are going to translate it into physical items. Okay, so here is our hardwood floor. Pretty much I just took a bunch of pieces and I stuck them together. Now for this right here, I grabbed a hold of 2 quick squares, one there and one there. I know that this angle here is 45 degrees. I just put my meter stick or yardstick all the way up in the same angle. This is where my cut is going to be. Now this right here is actually going to be for my post, which is 11 inches by 11 inches. So I took the measurements off of my board, off my plan, which was 27.8, I believe. So it's almost 28. So I'll put 11 inches there and I'll put 11 inches there. This should be my right angle. Now, if I did all my measurements correctly, remember that first number that I started with? There you go, 12 inches. Holy guacamole, my math is correct. So, this is hardwood floor. Usually you put this down on a flooring, which would be the subfloor of your actual floor. But I don't have that because I'm going to have this elevated. So what I was going to do is actually I just grabbed some 1/2 inch, some plywood. I think this is sheeting off of the shed. And I cut it down. So I'm just going to have one piece there and one piece there. Now obviously I'm going to put it on underneath. This is where when I nail it with my nail gun, I'm going to have to cut the nails off because it's going to go through my board. But this should be able to hold it together. Now, to give it strength, what I need to do, if you go back to the plan, this whole section right here is 5 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is rip off on some of the other pieces that I have 5 inches to run across here and run across there. I might put some down here just for extra strength, but for the main part, it would be here and here. This will hold everything together and actually hold everything down. And I should be able to kick this thing pretty good and it not fall over. So now what I'm going to do is actually flip this over so I can write on the back and I'm not writing on my actual flooring. But I wanted you to understand exactly what we're doing and how we're actually going to get there. I'm going to cut this off on the chop saw and then we're going to put it all together. We're going to get this done and you're going to come with us when we do it. All right, everybody's seen my chop saw. This is a 12-inch double bevel. Goes both ways. It is a slide. This thing is fantastic. I love this thing. If you guys can get one of these, I highly recommend it. It works awesome. And I have abused this thing. All right, I'm glad I checked that. I was about 1/8 of an inch off. So took it back over there, remeasured, because you always want to measure twice, and cut once, and don't forget to bring your safety goggles. Like I said, expensive eyeballs. All right, so we want to line this up. All right, so you can see the line is right next to my blade. It is on the inside. If you cut on the line, then you're actually cutting it too short. All right, so push it back nice and even. Go ahead and crank it up and slowly down. Now, the slower you put this blade through, this is a 60-bit blade or 60 tooth. So the slower you pull it back, the cleaner it's gonna cut. Let's go. Alrighty, now let's go to the other side. All right, there you go. All my cuts are pretty darn close. And once I put everything together, I can actually run the belt sander or something like that down here just to actually finish it up and actually make it pretty good. This right here actually came out really nice. I'm very happy with that. So what I'm gonna need to do now would be, one, check all my measurements, because I didn't take it all the way upstairs to check it. Bam, 11. Bam, 11. 27 and some change, almost 27.8. Okay, so what we need to do now is actually make a line, a brace underneath it here, and another brace over there. All right, so we need to have a brace going here. So we're gonna have it butt up against there, and then we're gonna come down here for about... Now the reason why I'm not going all the way out to the edge is just because this is a 45-degree angle. This right here is a 90. So when I put this board right here, it's going to stick out. So it's a lot easier to cut this section than it is that section. So I'm going to make it just a little bit shorter. All right, I'm going to make that 26 inches. Now, I need, according to my plan, we want it 5 inches tall. So I want 5 inches from this top all the way down to the bottom. So how are we going to find that out? So what we're going to do, grab ourselves a scrap piece we're going to use. All right, so we want a 5-inch total. So we're gonna grab our tape measure, we're gonna get our pencil. We want 5 inches from the ground. So you're right there, right basically on that line and that groove. There you go. So then we're gonna measure that off. This should be 3/4 of an inch, but we're just gonna make sure. So that is roughly 4 1/4. So we're gonna go to our table saw and 4 1/4. Let's go. Okay, so I got my blade all set up, and what you want to do is actually it's a tongue and groove. That's pretty much how a floor is actually put together. So you have the groove side, you got the tongue side. We want to cut the tongue side off because we don't want to have that as a gap. So either we cut it off now or cut it off later. So I'm going to rip this down and cut that part off. I have it set to 4 1/4. I checked it twice. We should be in good shape. One thing you always have to remember though is on the inside of the blade. That is where you want to measure. If you do it in the middle of the blade, you will make it shorter. So let's go. Okay, fantastic. So I do have both my pieces cut. They are both looking pretty good. Now what I want to do now is actually cut 2 more pieces this way and this way, and obviously they're going to be on the bottom because we want to raise this up. I just want to have a little bit more on the floor to actually support it. This should be fine, but I like to overkill. So let's see what size we need. Make sure that's flush. You know what, you can measure or you can grab a piece, and you can't get that part wrong, right? You would think. All right, so you got my mark right here. And what we're gonna do is actually cut it at an angle. So we can do a 45 here, so we can put both 45s and they should match up perfectly. We're gonna find out, and I need to cut 2 of these, so I'm gonna cut 2 of them at the same time. See, very simple, very easy. Once we get everything done, I should be able just to cut these little tips off on the edge, just to clean it up so it doesn't have any sharp edges. And then we should be able to just to put it all together. So I'm gonna put it on the floor. I'm gonna put some 2x4s underneath it to keep it up off the ground so I don't nail through this floor. And once I get that done, we'll shave it off. So let's go. Quick and easy. All right, so we got our nail gun and it is ready. I have already lubed it. Now, it's very easy to actually use this guy. And what you need is actually the mallet that came with it would be the best. It has a rubber side on one, and then it also has a striker on the other. Now what this side's gonna do, and this is just like a regular hammer, is that you're gonna get everything lined up. You can tap it, you can do whatever. Don't hit this side, don't hit the metal side on the popper here. So you wanna do rubber on rubber, and then everything will last for a really long time. So what we wanna do is line this up. So I do have 2x4s sitting underneath, and what I'm going to do is actually line up my nails so it will not hit my 2x4s, hopefully. Alright, so basically what I'm trying to do is line up the boards on the bottom and make it to where it's centered here. I'm in on the bottom about halfway through because we don't want to have it to be seen or run my toes against it. So I'm going to push that in. Push the other one in to be roughly the same. Let's get a tape measure. I'm gonna do 1.5 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and mark these just so I can make sure I put them back in the same spot in case I kick it or anything like that. So make sure these guys are relatively straight because you don't want to get all cockeyed here. All right. I need 1.5 inches again because I just moved it. I didn't mark it down yet. There we go. There you go. So now I have marks everywhere to where in case I move this, which I'm getting ready to because I don't want my nails to go through. Alright, so now we're ready to start nailing. So I'm going to put my foot down on it to keep it from going anywhere. Now on the bottom of this there's a pad and then there's a groove. This is the groove that you want to have on your tongue side. So what we want to do, line that up, make sure she's in there, and you got to pull the trigger and then hit it with the mallet. So unfortunately down here at the bottom, up here on top rather, I don't have room to throw nails in, but that's okay. Use a couple finishing nails, hold it in there nice and tight. No worries. And not to mention we're going to have the stuff underneath to actually hold it in. Let's take these off. Oh man, I still hit my board. There you go. Alright. Well, there you go. So we're just going to have to cut off all these nails that kind of protrude because you don't want that on your feet. So let's go do that now. Alright, so I just did it with the cutoff wheel. This was 4.5 incher. But now I'm going to go with the flap wheel because I don't want any of this stuff getting into my toes. There you go. Nice and almost splinter free. Now we still have these guys to put in. So we're going to find which one actually fits the best. There you go. That one looks good. Alright, so we just have our regular Hitachi finishing nailer. Just has a few rounds in it. Now these are going to be, again, way too long. But that's okay. They're going to be in the back and I'm also going to cut them off. Alright, we're all set. Now we just need to get our bottom set up. Alright, so project almost done. So if you take a look at it, there we go. I think it kind of looks like a W, but the center of my desk, or the back of the desk, should fit in there hopefully perfectly. Now, one other thing that I might do that I just thought about is that I can still see the wood right here and it doesn't match the rest of it. But one thing that you can do is actually take some cord around. I haven't quite cord around the entire room yet. I need to go get some that actually matches the color. And when I do that, I'll just cut a strip right here on the front, nail that in. You wouldn't even see it, and it's gonna match perfectly. So anyway, so that was a really quick project. Hopefully we can be a little bit more comfortable as we're working there all day long. Hopefully I'll go ahead and knock the other one out. The other one's pretty simple. I can do that for my wife's stuff. And hopefully she can be a little more comfortable. But don't throw away excess stuff. Use it for another project. If I would have just made it out of some scrap wood that I had laying around that did not match the floor, it probably wouldn't look as nice. I mean, this isn't grade A, but it's at least grade B+. So anyway, keep building and keep figuring things out to make your life easier, especially during this pandemic. So until next time, keep building, have fun, and be comfortable. Later.